Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. And if you're new here, welcome for the first time. I hope you enjoy the video. And today it's Tag Tuesday, so we're going to do a tag. And it's called the Don't You Forget About Me tag. And this was created by Bookworm Adventure Girl, and I was tagged by Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads. Stay tuned. Okay, this tag has got 4 particular prompts, all about books and forgetfulness and unforgettable and want to forget, that kind of thing. So let's go straight for it. Prompt number 1 says, clean slates, books you read that you don't remember anything about. Okay, so we're going to start with a book that I read that I don't remember. However, I do remember absolutely loving this book, and that is Ghost Story by Peter Straub. And really, when I say I remember absolutely loving this book, I read it around the same time as I read It by Stephen King. But whereas It, I can remember the ending, I can remember the characters, this book not so much. But it doesn't stop me putting it into my favorites, just because I remember how it made me feel, and I think that's important. That you don't necessarily have to remember the whole plot, but it made me feel really good, and I stayed up late to finish it. And yeah, it's about 4 old men, and they're being haunted by something from their past. Something that happened to them, or something that they did, one of their actions, and yeah, and they're dying off, and something is happening in this town. It's very spooky. It is very slow burn, and when I mean slow burn, this is beyond slow burn. This takes a lot of time to get going. But I do remember the payoff being absolutely phenomenal. I just wish I knew what it was. So yeah, that is Ghost Story. And the second one that I got here, which I remember reading, and I remember it being okay, kind of enjoying it, and that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and it's by Susanna Clarke. And it's kind of a historical novel, set in an alternative universe of England, and it's about these 2 wizards in a world where magic no longer exists. I think there are wars, and I think things happen. I kind of remember enjoying it, but 90% of the plot is just, maybe it deserves a reread sometime. So yeah, that's Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Okay, I'm not going to spend too long on the next one because it's kind of negative, and these, in my opinion, later on I'm going to give you lots of recommendations, but these are books you should avoid. And for me, this thing is Genie's Loop, books you wish you could forget. Okay, well, you wish they could just get out of your mind. And the first one is a strange one, and I haven't spoken about it on my channel. And it's by one of my favourite authors, and that is Clive Barker's Sacrament. Now, this is a dark fantasy novel, but it's unlike anything else that Clive Barker wrote, and I read pretty much everything he's written, and I was just disappointed. There's not so much fantasy elements in there. He does do a lot of philosophizing about existence and about extinction. And he brings all sorts of things into the story that I didn't really care for. And I think the only reason I'm putting it here is because I know how much I love Clive Barker and his dark fantasy novels such as We World and Magica. And this book just didn't do it for me. And yeah, this is probably my least favorite from him. And that's why I kind of wish I didn't read it. Sorry. Next up, and the next 2 are obvious. Next up we have, and I spoke about this last year. Next up we got Alligator, and that's a freaking awesome cover. And that is by Shelley and Paul Katz. And I'm sorry, book was like trudging through the swamps, the Everglades swamps, with bad characters, terrible characters, and even worse writing, looking for the alligator. Where's the alligator? Where's the alligator? And yeah, for a novel that promises so much, look at this cover, you get very, very little. You just get terrible dialogue. I'm sorry. Yeah, I felt, and I hate to say this, but I kind of felt a bit dumber, a bit stupider after reading this novel. That's all I'll say about that. I don't normally go negative on my channel. I feel bad now. But yeah, Alligator was pretty crap. And finally, we got a book I read on my Kindle quite recently, and I can't leave this off. And that was No One Rides for Free by Judith Sonnet. Now, this book aimed to be disgusting. It aimed to be disturbing, sickening. And it basically achieved all those goals admirably. So you can't give it a low rating, because that's what the book is aiming. Well, I gave it 3, 2.5, but that's what it's aiming for. It's aiming to really disgust you. And for me, it did a little bit more than that. And I felt like a serious hot shower, and I felt like scrubbing myself down to rub all the dirt and the sickness that this book made me feel sick to my heart, my body, my soul. Just not a good book. And this is from someone who's read quite a bit of extreme horror. Yeah, I did not enjoy the sexual content of this book. It was just wrong on every level. Say no more. Okay, now we get into my favorite part. And I've got a lot of books to show you just because there's so many. And this is Forgotten Gems. Books you think need more love. Yeah. I did a video towards the beginning of my life as a booktuber on underappreciated gems, and I'm going to link that up here, because one or two of these might be in that video as well. But books that are forgotten, books that deserve more love. These are not necessarily 5-star books for me. These won't necessarily appear on my top 100 of all time, but they are awesome books, and they're overlooked, and they need more attention. And one of them is Shadowland by Peter Straub. And yeah, I know I introduced Peter Straub earlier with Ghost Story. This is a great book. I think I gave it 4 stars, possibly 5, 4.5 stars, but it's an awesome book. And it's about these 2 boys, and they spend the summer as kind of apprentices to this magician in this house, this lake house. And it's kind of magical, and Straub doesn't normally go into dark fantasy. This is kind of his one and only venture into that territory, into that genre. And I think he does really well. I think what a lot of people struggle with is the language. Yeah, he's got a specific way with language. It's kind of maybe over verbose. I don't know, the way he describes things, I find it kind of lyrical. But yeah, it's a difficult book to get into, but I found it very entertaining. And it does build to quite a climax, quite a terrifying climax. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it needs a bit more love at Shadowland. Next up, we got, yeah, there are lots of books here. A Manhattan Ghost Story by T.M. Wright, and I also spoke about this in my underappreciated horror novels. And that video did very, very well. I'm going to put it up there, check it out. And it's like a very quiet ghost story. It's about a man who falls in love with this woman who he finds out is supposed to be dead. And it's kind of quite chilling, but it's quite gentle. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really enjoyed this. And anyway, Stephen King calls T.M. Wright a rare and blazing talent. So give him a go. It's actually very interesting. And I'm surprised by his very, very low ratings on Goodreads. But this is one you might want to pick up. Okay, next up. Now this is not so much for a book, but it's for an author. And I'm going to put the author up there. And this is Michael McDowell. Now he's better known for his Blackwater Chronicles. In fact, most people, when they think of him, think of that. And he actually died of an AIDS-related illness at the age of 48, I think. So we lost the talent way too early. But anyway, there's 3 books I read by him that I would recommend. And they are all Southern Gothic horror. And he does that so well. The setting and with the characters. Just the sense of dread and foreboding. And the building up of those characters and the tension. And he's really good. And that is Cold Moon Over Babylon. And we got The Amulet, which is a cursed object. And then we got The Elementals, which I have spoken about before, and is perhaps his second most famous book. But if you haven't read Michael McDowell, you're seriously missing out. Just an awesome author. And next up we got Wet Work by Philip Nutman. Is it Nutman? Oh, Nutman. And yeah, this is the only novel that he ever wrote. And it is an awesome zombie apocalypse novel with guns and FBI and agents and all sorts of other crazy things. And it's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's actually might be a very, very good book to look at for Zombiethon. So yeah, I also mentioned this in my underappreciated horror novels. There's a hardy dog again. So that is Wet Work. And finally, another war novel. And really I want to talk about this author more than the actual novel. And that is The Legion of the Damned by Sven Husserl. And yeah, it's an exceptional war novel. So if you're into war fiction, don't overlook this guy. And he served, the author, Sven Husserl, he served as a in the Panzer unit, the German army during World War II. But don't be fooled. This is an anti-war novel. It is a human novel. And he's very good at getting inside the characters and making you feel for them. And also making you feel almost like crying at the end for the futility of war and the futility of loss, and just like what the hell are we fighting for. So it's actually a very good anti-war novel, and yeah, it's kind of heart-wrenching and moving. And he's written a couple of other ones as well that I've read. I think it's Wheels of Terror, really enjoyed. But yeah, he's got a whole range of different books. Just because it's a German author, and you fall on the German side, it's a human voice, and if you read it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. That's all I can say. So if you like war fiction, The Legion of the Damned. Okay, the fourth prompt is Forget-Me-Nots. Books you will always remember. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about a few of my favorite books, but not too many, because I don't want to say too much, because I'm doing a top 100 of all time right now, and I'm on 50, so I don't want to give too many clues away. But I will say one book, just one book, and this is the first book that I bought. I absolutely adore it, and it's old, and it's worn. It's worn. It's old. It's actually taped together inside, as you can see. And this is a very loved book because it was falling apart, and I've tried very hard to keep it together. I have 2 other editions of The Stand by Stephen King. But yeah, this is my favorite, longer, uncut. What do I love about this book? Absolutely everything. But mainly the books that are unforgettable for me are books that have incredible world building. It doesn't have to necessarily be fantasy world building, but just that expand and that just give you the scope of this world. And characters. It's a big thing. In all the books that I've really loved, there's got to be characters that you will never forget. Off the top of my head, Fran, as Stu. The dog. I can't even remember the name of the dog. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. Baby, what's the name of the dog? Oh no, you forgot to. Okay, there's so many characters. I'm being put on the spot here, so I can't remember, but the characters are unforgettable. And the story for me is unforgettable. It's slow. It's what a lot of people say it's too long. That there's all this like filler thrown in, and I was mesmerized. I enjoyed the longer one more than the short one. Yeah. And a lot of people complained about the ending, but nah, the ending was awesome to me. Everything about this book was unforgettable. And I could talk about other books that you probably know about. Oh, okay, I'll do it. Swan Song, Robert McCammon. Same thing. Incredible world building, incredible storytelling. And it is different to The Stand. Don't listen to people that say it's the same thing. It's not. It is a different animal. It's a different beast. It goes in a different direction. And the characters are truly unforgettable. And yeah, I love both. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Books that will forever be in my mind. And there's another one, but I'm not going to talk about it now. Okay, the final prompt, number 5, says tag some cool people who love books. I was trying to think hard of people that I haven't tagged a lot before. I probably failed at that, maybe 1 or 2, but I was trying to tag a few new people. So if you haven't been tagged and you'd like to do this and show off some books, please feel free. Consider yourself tagged. But I would like to tag Literary Love. I would like to tag Book Songs and Other Magic, because you're an eclectic reader and I'd love to know what you say about this. And number 3, Jason's Weird Reads. Another reason, because I think you're very knowledgeable about books and I'd love to hear your answers to this tag. And then an Aussie booktuber that I've recently discovered and I loved, and that is Benjamin's Book Club. And I actually did a live with him and it was great. So yeah, the 4 of you are tagged. And all 4 of these channels. And Literary Love has just got such a knowledge about books. She's doing her literary thesis, or she's done a literary thesis about books. And yeah, she's just so well educated on literature. So, those 4 are tagged, and check out their channels down below. I'll link all of them. And yeah, that's the end of that. And also just another thing, I know the people that watch these videos think, why are you not doing my tag? Well, it's a backlog. A lot of people are tagging me. So unfortunately, you might have to wait in turn. So yeah, unfortunately, I've got like 5 to 10 tags I have not done. And I do tag Tuesdays, so that might double. So you might just have to wait a bit. But I will hopefully get around to your tag someday. I promise. But if you enjoyed that video, please be sure to like and subscribe. There's a big truck going past. And tell me in the comments what you felt about my choices. And just, yeah, generally let me know how you feel. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your responses. And I love to talk to you in the comments. Something I always do. So take care of yourselves. Keep those pages turning. And cheers.